Hi everyone, welcome to Weathertex Wednesday. I'm Vanda Correa and I will be your host for today. Today we've got David Baggs as our special guest, who's the CEO and founder of Global GreenTag International. How are you, David?
Yeah, good, Xander. Banda,
Uh,
hi everybody.
yeah. Now, as always, this will go for half an hour or so. If you got any questions, put them through to the chat box and we'll try to address them as many as possible. We get one CPD informal point, which will be sent. But yeah, yeah, David. So obviously, for this session, we're quite keen on getting a better understanding about the Nature Positive, your recent certification. So yeah, take it away.
Okay, thanks, Vanda. I'm going to give a bit of a background to where the whole nature positive thing fits in, who's doing what at a global and local level, and then bring it down to what the system is and then how you've gone. So
Perfect.
we'll show people how to access the files live on the website and then walk them through it, live as we download it. So
Yeah, sounds good.
sharing screen now.
Great. So how long, when was this introduced, David?
So we launched it about 2 years ago, and we
Okay.
have uh, a range of clients who are certified. WeatherTex is the only external cladding certification, um, and it's really a great reflection on the product and the company that it comes out so well in its own right. And you'll understand the significance of that as I go through.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay. So, as far as who is GreenTag, we're a product certification declaration transparency company, and our investment is really in the a deep commitment to the protection and health and well-being of all living systems. And we do that through science-based metrics, certification, transparency, and education. And the backdrop to the whole nature positive thing is the Kunming-Montreal Protocol from a few years ago, where 190 countries on the planet committed to making nature better, and doing that by committing to what was called the 30 by 30 commitment, which is a 30% improvement in biodiversity and nature by 2030. And Australia is a signatory to that protocol. So um, ultimately, the there is a role for business in this, and over 100 global corporations have signed up as part of the Business for Nature Coalition, and confirmed that business is critical in delivering a nature positive world, and that without business, the aim to halt and reverse negative impacts on nature and then restore and regenerate nature is unlikely. And essentially, the message is business has a role to play.
Mm.
There's a macro movements running through the whole sort of high-end business community, from stock exchanges and mandatory reporting on nature now, through to the use of nature metrics in reporting, and even more recently in Green Star um, within Australia and elsewhere. So ultimately, when it comes to measuring products and measuring the way products interact with the environment, we typically use life cycle analysis. Now, people need to understand that life cycle analysis is a damages assessment model. It it is used to measure and minimize the negative effects on people and nature. And EPDs essentially report the outcome of that life cycle analysis, and that's the kind of reporting we're used to. The thing
Mm.
is, LCA hits its limits. I've asked many life cycle assessment practitioners this simple question. Can you do me an EPD for a tree or an ecosystem?
Mm.
What about a circular product? What about a bio-based product? What about an engineered wetland or a green roof or a green wall? How do you do an LCA for that? You can tell me about the concrete and the steel and the plastic. You can't tell me about the benefits that the natural systems are generating. So there's a measurement gap
Mm.
because you can't get to a restorative positive future by only measuring negative impacts. You can't get to restorative by just doing less bad. So when it comes to actually trying to pick which natural system or which bio-based material is best, life cycle analysis has a clue because it doesn't have the indicators. It doesn't talk about increased oxygen. It doesn't talk about increased health or carbon drawdown or um, increase in species or soil carbon or any of the things that we would want to see in part of a regenerating ecosystem. So we
Mm.
have these numbers and these systems in life cycle analysis on the left. There's a whole lot of them all about loss and damage and um, lack of access to resources. They
Mm.
boil down into three endpoint indicators called lost human health, lost ecosystem species, and lost resource access. And there's a new methodology that is called the life cycle benefit assessment methodology that flips that on its head and creates positive indicators that reflect the opposite environmental impacts and health impacts. So instead of lost human health, we have gained human wellness or human health. We have
Mm.
gained habitat richness. We have gained resource resilience and supply. And that sort of cascades out into a broader set of uh, specific indicators that we can use to measure and create an EPD for a tree or an engineered ecosystem like a wetland treatment or a green roof or so on.
Mm.
And that includes bio-based materials because ultimately without that full set of data, we can't measure the holistic impact of products. So coming to our nature positive certification, it is a scientific set of metrics with comprehensive transparency reporting that talks about resource circularity, human health and environmental toxicity, biodiversity, life cycle impacts and life cycle benefits, carbon and water footprints, and the ethical, social, indigenous benefit in supply chains, including modern slavery and innovation. It's divided into this rolls up to about a 40-page document. It's divided into a certification page, summary up front, then a short sort of pie charts and punchy metrics summary of each section in the beginning, and then detailed reporting on each of those 10 individual metrics
Mm.
throughout the document.
Mm. You're
You
going
know,
to touch on that, aren't you, for the Weathertex one?
yes, we'll get to that.
Yeah, that
Yep,
would be really good.
yep,
Yeah.
we'll show you that. So
Mm.
ultimately, the system has these metrics. The majority of the metrics and the inputs for that come from existing um, GreenTag, GreenTag services. So our recycled content and circularity declaration, our PhD, EPD, and life cycle benefit analysis, a green rate and LCA rate, and there's some new metrics around the social indigenous benefit and innovation that we've introduced as part of the standard. It's a multi-stage process. The first stage is the data submission, then the assessment, and then we do the assessment and score each section. We weight that section, and then we create a distance to zero gap report if there is a gap. Now, in Weathertex case, there was no gap. Not only was there no gap, it was actually shown to be net nature positive in its own right. So that's quite a an achievement. So in that case, we went straight to certification, and um, that's what we're presenting today. But ultimately, with other more conventional products, um, there would be a confidential gap analysis report, and then the manufacturer would look at what high integrity nature-based solution offsets it would engage to take it to zero and then into the net positive range. So essentially, the nature positive declaration with life cycle benefit analysis closes this net gain and metrics gap and delivers a whole range of um, accountability. So this is an example from an internal acoustics product, and but we'll get to Weathertex shortly. So the main thing between life cycle analysis and the benefit analysis is we can use a weighting methodology called recipe, which is globally accepted within the LCA community, and roll them up into a single number and create a benefit to damage ratio that gives a very clear indication of the direction of positivity for a product. So at 1 to 1, the benefit ratio means it's neutral. If it's a whole number or more, so 1.2, 1.4, or 2, that's 20, 40, or 100% nature positive. And if it's a fraction, it means it's essentially still in damage mode. So the whole kind of green building and circular economy discussion that we're having is still, while it's obviously important, it's still a long way short of generating net neutral impacts on nature and a long way short of nature positive and regenerative. And Green Star and the global rating tools are now focusing on nature because of the 30 by 30 commitments from the Kunming Montreal Biodiversity Protocol. And and business is moving in this direction as well. But it's important to understand that what we're doing now is nowhere near enough. And so this is so important to have products demonstrably able to show that even though that they've been through a robust process like nature positive sort of declaration and certification, they've been through this multi-stage checking process. Any offsets that might be used by other manufacturers have been through an integrity verification stage to make sure that the offsets that they're claiming are real. And um, the whole concept that we're talking about using offsets is in line with the Green Building Council's own strategy to minimize the impacts, identify the shortfall, and then offset with nature. So that is a global strategy that was actually sort of enshrined originally by the World Green Building Council, but now engaged in the market in Australia by the Green Building Council of Australia in Green Star. So it's a 4-tier certification. 105% is bronze, above 110% is silver, 120% gold, and over 150% is platinum. And ultimately, we have Weathertex reaching 153%. So this is a really significant achievement. I actually, when I thought what it might end up over, I didn't think it would reach that level, but it has, and it's quite an achievement, as I said. The summary front page of the document just looks like any other certificate. It gives you the scoring for each of the major criteria on a net zero, net negative, net positive framework. Net zero is the green stripe down the middle. Anything that's in orange or red on the left is net negative. Anything that's in light blue to dark blue is net positive, and increasingly so on the right. So you can see that the only thing that, WeatherTex could be doing better is on water reuse and recycling. Otherwise, it's a very impressive score. So what I'd like to do now is just to take you, let me just drop out of that for a moment,
Mhm.
and then
And
take
while
you,
you
yep,
do that, I might put a link to your global green tag, a linking to our natural range page. So then for those who are attending that wants to refer after the webinar to have a proper certification copy of it, yeah, they can do that with this link.
yeah, okay. So let me just come back and pick up the share again. Okay, so this is the front page of the home page of our website. There's a few ways you can find it. You can either type WeatherTex into the website search, but the easiest thing if you're just looking for the actual sort of nature positive declaration is to come down to Browse Products By section, click on Nature Positive, and it will bring up WeatherTex. And there we have the WeatherTex Nature Positive Declaration. So as we scroll through it, we can see we've got a table of contents. We have the manufacturer's story and the product description, the summary page I mentioned, and then each of the 10 criteria has a summary metrics page with very, easy to read pie charts that show you exactly what in this instance, the post-industrial recycled content is and the virgin materials input versus the technical and biological cycle content, which is, basically a natural content versus technical content. In this case, it's 100%. The product can go 100% back into the natural environment safely once, as long as it's not coated, which obviously it doesn't need to be, or it's coated with a natural, some sort of bio-based oil that would be uh, a suitable coating if someone wanted to coat it. Then we report toxicity, climate impacts, the source of the climate impacts, and any offsets. In this instance, no offsets. The life cycle to benefit ratio in this instance was one 23%. So it's 123%. So at a pure LCA level, without anything being taken else into control to account, it was 123% positive. And then we, rate it extra for the fact that there's no toxicity and it's good for biodiversity. So there's a, range of other things that we go into more detail than what life cycle analysis does, particularly around things like toxicity and social benefit and so on. So, ethical supply chains, social benefits, innovation, and then each section is then fully explained in its own section to the point where we work through the product health declarations in full, biodiversity in full. But when we get to the EPD, the EPD is a link to the website again. So you actually, to get to the environmental product declaration information and the benefit addendum, you have to go back to the website. And you'll find that the EPD has all of the things you would expect an EPD to have. It has all of the negatives data, but then towards the end, you will come to, I'll come back to some of those diagrams because there's a bit of interesting information there. But essentially, to just show you the benefit diagram and the information, here is how much you can see that on the screen or not, but you can see that the different metrics have specific criteria and about putting things back and restoring things, whether it's sweet air or local shelter or food or nature. You know, the indicators and the results. Sorry, where's the?
Mm.
I don't know why. Sorry.
I think
That's the
that's
wrong
not
one.
the one.
It's been
Yeah,
it's
I
been
think
linked
that's
to the
not it.
it's no, it's the wrong one.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's try that again. Um, the
Yeah. Maybe if you go to the natural.
there we go. I'd flicked to the wrong one.
Um,
Um, let's try it again. See if it goes to the right one this time. No, it doesn't.
oh,
Okay.
yeah.
We'll go do it a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, EPDs. That's it.
Okay. That's interesting. Sorry, things have gone a bit awry here.
Mm.
The benefit addendum. I go back to the just check. Maybe a benefit addendum has been actually put in here after all. I thought it was what should be attached to the back of the. No. Okay, we've identified a problem. We're missing the specific benefit addendum. Okay, I'll have to get that fixed. My apologies.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Um, but to show you a comparable one,
Mm-hmm.
um, probably best if we just summarize it rather than look at a whole lot of meaningless charts. So
Mm.
this was an interpretation that was done. This is a wool product, but you can see that there are a range of specific health benefits, ecosystem benefits, and resource benefits that have been able to be charted as a result of the data. So without laboring that too much, ultimately what the benefit analysis does is take the information about what benefits the product creates, create scientific metrics that can be used essentially to create an alternative picture than traditional LCA. And the importance of that is up until now, those things haven't been measured at all, and now they are being measured.
Mm.
So if we,
Mm. But yeah, thank you, David. It's great to go through it in more detail and understand like the intricacy and how detailed it is. It's such a huge process, an assessment, very thorough. We definitely know that.
Well, it is very thorough because
Yeah.
it's really four individual assessments um, that we already do, plus a whole bunch of others that we haven't done in the past and have adopted as part of this new nature positive certification process. And there is no more thorough process for product certification on the planet.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's it. And
I can assure you of that.
yeah, that's awesome. And I guess, before we finish, because it's 2:30 now, is just from your, future trends and developments from a third party accreditation, what do you see in the next, 3 years to 5 years, you know?
I think with the focus is going to there's a lot more focus on product stewardship becoming on making sure that products do go into a circular loop, to making sure that um, waste is recovered and reused, that things that do have future lives are given those future lives, on repairability, and on then combining the circularity, making sure that because there's a very big thrust towards circular economy, but the three principles of circular economy are make products less toxic, make them last longer, and restore and regenerate nature. And it's the nature piece which is starting to come on strongly. So you're really in there on the ground floor in terms of being able to provide those metrics and provide a great story, which is fully defensible about the
Mm,
nature positivity of WeatherTex Naturals.
yeah, yeah. Marisha sent us a little comment saying, thanks for the presentation, and can you please discuss your company in summary? So where the products are manufactured. So our manufacturing factory, we only have one, and that's at Heatherbrae in New South Wales. And we've got a very unique process. So it's basically just two products, hardwood and a bit of paraffin wax, and no glues, no resins. And obviously, that is why we perform so well when it comes to sustainability third party accreditations. We've got a better than zero carbon footprint and 153% nature positive now, which is fantastic.
Indeed.
If I do encourage, please go to our website, go to GreenTag's website. Any questions, please come, address separately to us. We'd love to, make it aware, of our benefits and how unique our product is. So thank you, David. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Good
Awesome.
afternoon.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us.